Birdland Tonight is your place for Orioles post-game coverage for fans by fans. All of the hosts on Birdland Tonight are Oriole fans that are either writing blogs or doing podcasts about Orioles. Head on over to birdlandtonight.com to learn more about the hosts and other shows and websites that they're a part of. And head on over to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch and subscribe, follow, or like, whatever the appropriate thing is, to Birdland Sports. Finally, share, retweet, and tell your friends about Birdland Tonight so that we're all joined into the conversation after every Orioles game this year. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. Head on over to the comment sections on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube to start interacting now. We'll see you soon. Did you know Birdland Tonight is also a podcast? Head on over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Birdland Tonight to get the audio of this show every morning ready for your commute. Thanks for joining us. We will get started in just 1 minute. Make sure that you have subscribed to us on your favorite social media. Look up Birdland Sports on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Like, follow, retweet, share. See you in a moment.
Welcome back to Birdland Tonight. We've got some lovely totals tonight. I'm Ryan Blake. That's Michael Vetter. Michael, the Orioles in the win column again. Does 2 games count as a winning streak?
Hey, I'll take it. Any rebuilding year, that's a streak for me.
Yeah, we won 3 in a row against Boston to start off the year, and now Boston's 10-4. So that looks pretty good for us, I'd say. Of course, we weren't able to come through against them last time we played at Camden Yards, but hey, we started off the season on a good note. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean they've looked really hot, 10-1 since we last played them. And yeah, I actually told my best friend who's a Red Sox fan, I'm going to be rooting for the Red Sox after we swept them so that we would look good. And well, it looks like I rooted a little too hard.
I think they'll come back to earth eventually, but that offense is pretty special. But
Yeah.
speaking of offense, the Orioles bats woke up in the last couple innings. Orioles with the 6-1 victory. The story of tonight, I messaged you yesterday because I knew we were doing the post game show together, and I said get ready to talk about Dean Kramer's cutter. And then Dean Kramer came out tonight and he threw just 4 cutters out of his 79 pitches. He relied very very heavily on his fastball and curveball. What did you see from Kramer tonight that you liked?
Well, I mean, talking about his fastball, it definitely has some solid speed around 94, can go up to around 95. But I think the reason why he didn't necessarily use his cutter so much is there's actually quite a bit of horizontal movement on his fastball. If you look at the advanced stats, it's actually quite well above average in terms of horizontal movement compared to other pitchers' fastballs. So, yeah, if you're throwing at 94 and you can locate, I mean, how many times did he hit that? When it's a left-handed batter, the inside corner, or the right-handed batter, the outside bottom hand corner, because the ump was calling that all night. He kept hitting that spot, and sometimes he would miss and fall behind against batters. But I think that's why he kept throwing it, because he felt that he could command it, and it really worked well off of his curveball, kind of like how Tyler Glasnow pitches.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned getting those calls at the bottom of the strike zone, and that certainly came in handy against Joey Gallo in that 4th inning. And I do want to talk
Yeah.
about that 4th inning because that's where Kramer ran into a little bit of trouble. He's had some trouble the second and third time through the order. Of course, this year he hasn't really gotten to the 3rd time through the order too often. But he came into tonight averaging 23.2 pitches per inning, which was 2nd in the league. That's not exactly what you want to see. A big problem with him has been getting ahead of batters. But you mentioned getting those strikes low in the zone. That was consistent throughout the night. And it's a big thing with umpires. If you're going to have a little bit of an expanded strike zone, that's fine, but keep it consistent. And the home plate umpire sure did tonight. But that at bat to Gallo, he falls behind 3-1. He was falling behind a lot of batters, especially in that inning. The only guy he didn't fall behind was David Dahl, who hit the RBI single for the Rangers. But Kramer was able to get that strike 2 call on the 3-1 pitch. Gallo thought was a little bit low,
Yes.
but then he climbed the ladder and got him to strike out. And that really, even though the Rangers were able to score a run, that really helped limit the damage in that inning.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, as you said, they were still able to score and get 2 pretty solid singles after that. But yeah, that was really electric the way he located that fastball and knew, as you said, the umpire was consistently calling those low strikes. And that was just a great feeling to see him strike out by far the best hitter on the Rangers, in my opinion, in Joey Gallo. And yeah, after those 2 singles and they were able to score a run, he didn't give up the big hit, the huge hit. He could have given up a 3-run homer. Instead, he gets them to hit a ball on the ground by again pitching low, and he lets his defense do the work with, an amazing play that better be on SportsCenter's top 10, let alone maybe the top play of the night, with Galvis reaching over and throwing it over to Ruiz, who caught it barehanded and then tossed it to Mountcastle for a nice stretch. So that was just a great inning to see, even though we started losing.
Yeah, how about that slick play by Galvis? I was following that one on my phone. I was driving home from work. I was luckily able to watch a little bit at work. I missed a little bit of the beginning of the game, but yeah, that was a really nice double play. And how about Rio at second base with the nice turn, catches the flip barehanded from Galvis and makes a strong throw to first to complete the double play. Rio's looked pretty comfortable at second base, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, ever since opening day, at least the Fenway opening day, where he made a couple of the, running backwards catches, the Willie Mays-esque catches. Yeah, I think he's looked great at second base, and ever since he was a prospect with the Braves when he was originally drafted, he was always supposed to be a plus defender. And in some ways, second base is actually a lot easier than third base. So I think it kind of makes sense. He's a natural athlete, natural player. So yeah, it's been great to see his defense at least so far.
Yeah, we'll get back to the defense in a minute, but I do want to talk about Kramer a little bit more. And I think this is
Sure.
Josh commenting from the Birdland Sports page. Kramer was pulled after striking out 2 straight batters in favor of Wade LeBlanc. He was through 4 2/3 innings, not quite enough to qualify for the win, although the Orioles were trailing at the time, unfortunately. But 79 pitches. Do you think Hyde pulled the plug a little bit early on Kramer tonight?
I mean, so if we're trying to win 100 games this year, and, trying to preserve the bullpen at all costs, not send people down, send people up. Yeah, I could definitely see why that decision could give us some grief, right? Go. But
I had to throw that one up there. Continue.
yeah. So, but if you think about it, he had just struck out 2 guys looking, right? Which is great. A great way to go out of the game. And he looked like he could have kept going. But we need to avoid injuries to our young starters at all costs. Just think about Chris Tillman, all those guys in the past who got ruined by injuries. And he was about to go through his 3rd time through the order. And like you said, he hasn't had the chance to do that so far this year. And all the analytics really say the 3rd time a guy gets to look at you, he hits you way better. So I can definitely see the analytics behind the decision. And it's April. I definitely want to see him pushing guys further as we get farther into the season. And Paul and Joe talked about that last night on Birdland Tonight too.
Yeah, and with Kramer in particular, it's you want to see him be able to work a little bit deeper into games. He showed us last year that he could do that a little bit with a couple strong starts against the Yankees especially. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's important to keep guys healthy as you start the year, especially coming off a season when these guys didn't have any real game time. Of course, Kramer had opportunities here and there, but finally getting back to a full slate of games, you got to keep these guys healthy. And I think that's what Hyde is trying to do. But like you said, I think as the season progresses, it'll be important to have these guys go deeper into games. But definitely. Speaking of going, deeper into the games, the bullpen was strong tonight. We got 4 1/3 scoreless innings tonight from the combination of Wade LeBlanc, Travis Lakins Sr., Tanner Scott, and Shawn Armstrong came on for some reason I saw him come in and I was thinking, why is Shawn Armstrong on for the save? And then I remembered that Michael Franco had just hit a 2-run homer to give us a 5-run cushion. So it was no longer a safe situation. But the bullpen, Michael, was really solid tonight.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Masson put up a stat that our bullpen hasn't given up a run since Tanner Scott gave up that 2-run homer in the first game of the doubleheader on Thursday. So yeah, I mean, they've looked great so far. And actually, if you look at the stats from last year, both the actual standard statistics like ERA and the advanced statistics, we had a very solid bullpen in 2020. And yeah, you look at the arms, there's really a lot of action going on there. Of course, there's Valdez with the dead fish changeup, but Scott comes in with the electricity and the slider. Armstrong, as you were just talking about, actually has some great stuff. Lakins has some solid velocity. LeBlanc, he just knows how to work the strike zone. We just have a lot of guys who are actually really encouraging. And Fry was actually the best in terms of advanced stats last year. So I think that's definitely a positive and strength of the team.
Yeah, and you mentioned Fry off to a little bit of a slow start this spring, but the last few outings has really seemed to put it together a little bit. Like you said, a really good peripheral stats. Based on what he did last season. And one thing I noticed, especially with Travis Lakins a couple days ago, he came in and I couldn't remember him being able to spin a curveball the way he was. And so he's certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Didn't make the team out of spring training, but has found his opportunity back on the roster, and it's exciting to see. Now, Madison here brings up a good point. It is a conundrum in a 1-0 game. You don't see the starter taken out very often. A 1-0 game generally means your starter's pitching pretty well. But we've talked about Kramer entering the 3rd time through the order. It's a situation which last year he actually was better the 2nd and 3rd time through the order. Masson showed a graphic on that tonight. But this year he has really struggled after that 1st time through the order. But like Madison says here, I get where Hyde is coming from. We've talked about injuries. We've talked about wanting to stretch guys out a little bit. And I'm sure as the season goes on, we'll start to see a little more confidence in the starter to get out of those jams as the game progresses. But like we've talked about, it was big tonight to see the bullpen come through for us as they have the last few games. Now, back on the defensive side, we've talked about Rio. He's looked good at second base. Tonight was Ryan Mountcastle's first start of the year over at first base. Giving Mancini a night on the bench to DH, Santander, Mullins, and DJ Stewart in the outfield from right to left. Do you think we'll see more of Mountcastle at first base as the season goes on, especially if DJ Stewart keeps hitting the way he has?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly tough to see him with the spot in the outfield, right? And I honestly think the combination that makes the most sense is switching between him and Mancini at first base. But there's definitely a lot to consider here. first off, it depends on what their plan is with Mancini long term. Do they want to use him as a trade piece, or do they want him to keep developing defensively to be our first baseman for the permanent future? Because he's definitely a great first baseman. I think through the first week of the season, he was actually one of the highest outs above average guys on Baseball Savant, which is really incredible for a first baseman. So I definitely think he's a better fit at the position. But Mountcastle is the guy we have for 5 or 6 more years. So, he definitely has the ability to play the position. On that double play we were talking about, as I said before, he made a great stretch. And he definitely has the, athleticism to play. But he is also very fast. So if he could just somehow find a way to learn how to play the outfield better and improve his arm, I would like to see him somewhere else other than first base. And as I said, it's a loaded question. I don't really have a straight up answer for you, but I definitely think it's a heated competition between balancing the future and the short term with him at first base versus Mancini.
Yeah, and especially when Austin Hayes comes back from injury, we're going to want to see him in the outfield a little bit more. And Mountcastle's defense out there, just to put it bluntly, has not been good, and it's not up to par with the standards that I think this organization sets on the defensive side of the ball. But you mentioned Trey Mancini a little bit in that first base rotation. Let's talk about his bat a little bit. He's had trouble getting the ball off the ground. He's hit into a bunch of double plays. I will say it's hard to hit into a double play when for the first 7 innings of the game, the first 2 batters in the lineup are retired, which is what happened tonight with the Orioles. And Trey had an opportunity to hit into another double play tonight in the 8th inning. In fact, I wore my 643=2 double play shirt for Trey tonight. But he came through. He got a little bit of loft on the ball, hit a line drive into left field for a go-ahead double. Michael, I know you have some numbers about Mancini and his seeming inability to get the ball off the ground, but it seems to me like when he's put the ball in the air this year, it's been smoked.
Yeah, so I mean, he has a 50% hard hit rate on the season, at least coming into this game, which is honestly insane. I mean, think about going into a major league game and half the time hitting it about 90 miles an hour or harder. So yeah, he hasn't been completely lost at the plate, but his average launch angle before this game was 6.9%. So as you said, your eyes aren't lying to you. He's really been hitting it on the ground. And yeah, he's had some electric home runs like he had against the Red Sox with the back-to-back with Santander, the one he hit the other day against the Mariners. But he's also been chasing a lot with a 36% chase rate. And I think that kind of gives you the tendency to hit it into the ground, especially if you're going into a lot of 2-strike counts and you have to defend. Even if you're getting solid contact, you're just more likely to choke up a little bit and just have that kind of go down at the ball approach. At least that's what my coach has always taught me. So I think it's just been great for him to be a little bit more relaxed. I think being a DH today and having the off day with those double headers has maybe just helped him mentally relax a little bit more and really be able to sit back, get his hips rotated in behind the ball, not swing with an uppercut, but really keep his bat in the zone for a long time. And yeah, I mean, I think he looks great. I'm really not worried about him. And in terms of expected WOBA, he's actually the highest among our qualified starters. So I think it's going to be a great comeback story season for him. And yeah, he just needs to get the ball in the air as he did with that extremely clutch double. And that was just great to see.
Yeah, that was big. And the Orioles were able to get some hard hit balls out there tonight. Their expected batting average on the night was .311, which is better than I've seen in recent games. But they had some trouble with starting pitcher Dane Dunning. For a team that struggles to hit the ball hard in the air sometimes, going up against a sinker baller is not exactly a recipe for success. And unfortunately, we saw with Dane Dunning tonight his ability to get the first couple Orioles out in each inning that he faced. And with Dunning and Justin Dunn the other day, if the starting pitcher has Dunn in their last name, the Orioles offense is Done. And I really hope someone out there laughed at that joke because I thought of it before the show and I've been sitting on it for the last 19 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed my awful pun there. But the Orioles were finally able to start hitting some balls in the air and hitting them hard, especially in that 8th and 9th inning. The bats finally started to come alive, Michael.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about the low strike zone, right? How unfortunate is it to go up to the plate with an umpire who's calling low strikes against a sinker baller? And, that's what they had to face today. But they actually had 9 hard hits off of Dunning before he came out of the game. and he somehow managed to not give up a run. But yeah, a few of those were actually base hits, singles, but for the most part, they were really hit hard on the ground. I think Santander had a couple of those. Galvis was really the only one who put it in the air a couple of times. So yeah, they were able to hit him hard because he wasn't even throwing that hard. They were able to see the ball well, but it was just so low in the strike zone that they couldn't really get, their whole legs behind it and really lift it into the air. So yeah, I think he's a great pitcher, honestly, and I can't believe they got him rather easily from the White Sox. I mean, who also have a ton of great pitchers, but yeah, I think he has a very exciting future ahead of him.
Yeah, I do too. Now let's talk about Freddie Galvis a little bit. Four more hits tonight. He goes 4 for 4, 6 hits now in the series. Just when he was about to hit a 100 batting average, he was 1 out away. He was 3 for 29 on the season. One more out would have been 3 for 30. That's a 100 batting average. And I had a fantastic tweet ready to go. And then he comes along and hits an RBI single a few nights ago. I don't remember the exact situation, but I know it was late in the game and it was an important RBI single. And now Galvis all of a sudden starting to heat up, has the 3rd highest OPS out of all the Orioles starters in the lineup tonight, which was pretty much our regular rotation. How important is it for Galvis's bat to come around? We signed him for his defense to replace Jose Iglesias, who had a career year offensively last year. Galvis in the past hasn't been a slouch at the plate. He's not, anything exceptional, but I think it's going to be important for his offense to start coming around. And he showed us on the defensive side of the ball that he's going to bring value regardless. So it's exciting to see him finally start to turn a corner after a slow start to the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first off, just having someone who's a switch hitter towards the end of the lineup really balances your whole lineup out, gives Brandon Hyde a lot of flexibility. And yeah, just really makes it a bit more dangerous so the pitcher can't just lose focus towards the end of the game or towards the end of the lineup each time he goes around. Because really at first Galvis just looked completely lost. But now his approach at the plate looks fantastic. He's really sitting on the ball, letting it come to him. And yeah, he's really been electric ever since the first game of that doubleheader on Thursday. And that RBI single that he had was actually the last game I covered. So I thought that was going to be a great winning hit, but unfortunately not. The Red Sox came back to win. But yeah, I think it really just adds so much to our lineup. And yeah, his defensively, although he made a few errors this year, he's been well above average his whole career. And yeah, he's always just been one of those guys I always liked. He just always seemed to show up, not really get hurt, be a little below average offensively, but as a shortstop who's providing plus defense, I'll take that all day. And right now he's heating up. He was 9% in terms of hard hit rate before the game, I believe. And, now he's definitely way higher after having 3 hard hits today. So I'm excited about what he's doing. 4 for 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a good point brought up here in the comment section that, I was guilty of this too. I was starting to think, is Richie Martin the next man up, or is there another shortstop? Is it Rylan Bannon time? Is it, Mason McCoy? Is he going to get a chance? But yeah, I was starting to wonder about Galvis as well. Is he next to get the Yolmer Sanchez treatment? Of course, Yolmer we didn't even get to see play in the regular season, and was designated for assignment before the season started. And I admit I was thinking that Galvis might be next in line when he was in that slump. And his batting average was pushing 100, but now he's up well over 200. And like I said, the OPS is 3rd on the team as of now. And it's exciting to see for sure.
Yeah, and Yolmer Sanchez is a really great comparison because, he's someone who isn't part of our long-term plan. So if they got rid of him, it wouldn't really hurt our future that much. So they would almost feel obligated to give him up if he's not even performing to an MLB level. And yeah, it's just really funny how things can change so quickly. I remember on Thursday, Josh and Matt, I think, were calling for Richie Martin to be called up, or it was Josh and Cody were calling for Richie Martin to be called up. And yeah, I mean, I think Richie Martin has a lot of ability, but Galvis has really just shown, he's actually a solid major league level player. He just needed to get his approach at the plate fixed and really just figure himself out, go back to his old self. Even though he's over 30 and that can be a time of decline, I think he's just shown too much over the years to give up on him already.
Yeah, and as the only true shortstop on the major league roster at this moment, it's definitely important for his bat to come around. Like I said, 4 hits again tonight. Now 6 for 7 in this series. Very exciting to see from Freddie Galvis. Now, before I preview tomorrow's game, did you have anything else you wanted to add from tonight?
No, not specifically. I just think, it was really great to see. We didn't even talk about Franco's awesome opposite field homer, which was just a great approach. And one note that I wanted to add is every single Oriole who started tonight had a hard hit as qualified by Baseball Savant. So that's just great to see after our bats were so quiet for so long.
And speaking of hard hits, one thing I forgot to mention earlier, Nate Lau's leadoff single in the fourth inning was the only ball hit with an exit velocity over 100 miles per hour off of Dean Kremer tonight. And that, like I said, was a leadoff single, and that was 100.4 miles per hour off the bat. So a big recipe for Kremer's success tonight was his ability to limit the hard contact. We saw him go almost 5 pretty strong innings, ran into trouble there in the fourth, like we said, but overall, solid outing from Kremer. Good to see the bats come alive near the end of the game. And hopefully this is a little bit of a spark plug that the Orioles need. Now, tomorrow, the Orioles will go for the sweep in their first ever trip to Globe Life Field. It'll be the ace John Means on the mound versus Kyle Gibson, who I'm pretty sure is the most commonly streamed pitcher in my Dynasty Baseball League over the past 3 seasons. First pitch at 2:35. Josh Soroka and somebody else, hopefully, on the call here at Birdland tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's postgame show. For Michael Vetter, I'm Ryan Blake. We hope you continue tuning in. Tell your friends. Subscribe to our podcast. Every episode is available the next morning on Birdland Tonight. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and we'll be here with you every single game at the end of the game. And I don't know about you, Michael, but so far I've had a blast doing this.
Oh, yeah, it's just been fantastic. And yeah, it's just great to have the interaction. I love seeing all the comments here, especially comments from Twitch, which is personally my favorite streaming platform. And yeah, definitely follow Ryan and I on Twitter. We're always talking about the Orioles, and we love the team. And yeah, just thanks for hosting, and thanks for a great show, Ryan.
Yeah, well, our handles are right here in our name tags. So go ahead, and I'd like to think we're good follows. We'll let you be the judge of that. But like Michael said, it's always cool to see the comments rolling in, and we certainly hope that continues as the show continues to grow. And we hope to be your go-to for Orioles post-game analysis. So
yeah,
again,
tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Absolutely. I texted a couple of my buddies tonight and told them to tune in. I didn't see them in the comment section. I'm a little disappointed, but I'll have to shoot them a message afterward and let them know to be a little more interactive next time.
They're shy. It's okay.
That's all right. For Michael Vetter, again, I'm Ryan Blake. Thank you for watching at Birdland Tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.